So what's worse here? If the small nitty-gritty details align by a line, if that erupts into a full-blown trade war, I mean, it's already gone global, right? 232 on steel, and now the 301 largely focused on tech.
Yeah.
How bad is that going to get, do you think?
Well, look, you know, if you look at the percentage of GDP that's affected in both of these the world's two largest economies.
Honestly, it's a rounding error, right?
It's a rounding error. Okay. It's small. So there is a lot of hype. There's a lot of political theater going on here. There's no question about that. So the question that you ask, I think, is, will this escalate? Is there the possibility that, you know, tit for tat will continue to the point where we reach some kind of a tipping point where we really have a negative effect on the markets? And the answer to that is yes, it could happen. It could happen. I think the world economy today can absorb that better than it did, say, back in the 1930s. Yeah. You know, after Smoot-Hawley. The economy is much more complex. There are many more overlapping aspects. Yeah. Again, I think
that's a good news, right?
That's definitely good news. Alex, what I want to hear from you is, what do you think the Chinese game plan is? I mean, do they want to really go tit for tat, or are they being more strategic and astute in the way they're pursuing the tariff game?
I think, well, first of all, a couple of things. One, they're going to make concessions that they can live with.
They already have made
and they are. And again, as long as they can make, you know, very visible concessions that Trump can take to his voter base and say, look what I did, but really doesn't fundamentally alter the way they're playing the game. That's really how they're approaching this. You know, the other thing I think that Beijing has as an advantage is it can really weaponize the U.S. political system in a way that the Americans cannot do in Beijing. So they can go after, you know, political constituencies that are sensitive to tariff hikes, such as the agricultural sector, you know, civil aviation, automotive, et cetera.
And deny him the midterms? And deny him a second term?
It will certainly cause him some grief, and certainly cause him to reconsider imposing these tariffs, and possibly even, you know, have adverse effects in the elections.
Well, okay, what about the bigger and broader sort of conflict between these two systems, all right? This is sort of existential. Why was I put on this earth for, right? I mean, in China's case, I mean, they were never going to stay the plastic flower producer of the world forever, right? Right. So this is kind of natural. This is what states do. No. Yes.
So I think going forward, businesses should be looking at the landscape as it pertains to the tech wars and the tech confrontation that we have between the U.S. and China, and how that's going to translate into export controls and licensing, more sanctions, and the effect that that's going to have on supply chains. I think supply chains are going to fragment. They're going to have to reform. New clusters are going to have to form around new ecosystems.
Unfortunately, this is all going to add cost.
This is going to add cost. It's going to add complexity. It's going to add disruption. But ultimately, I don't think there's any way around this.
Still watching? Perfect. Click here to watch another great video from CNBC International. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.